Welcome to the BreachLock integrated platform. Unify your security testing with one seamless platform that consolidates all your product solutions and test findings. Leverage a common data model, validate attack paths, and map your entire attack surface all in one place. BreachLock breaks down silos and connects solutions to deliver a unified view of your security landscape for comprehensive asset visibility. By leveraging the power of integration, this demo will showcase BreachLock's full solution portfolio, connecting PTaaS, attack surface management, continuous pen testing and automated scanning, as well as red team capabilities, all in one data model for endless clarity and reporting. Upon logging into the BreachLock integrated platform, the user will see a set of features on the left panel, starting with the dashboard feature. By clicking on this tab, an dashboard screen provides a pictorial representation of the user's security testing scope for easy consumption for security teams, as well as CISOs or executives in the organization. The dashboard represents your asset management process that identifies on a real-time basis the IT assets the user's organization owns and the potential security risks and vulnerabilities that affect each asset. This is specific only to the scope that was designated by the organization. Starting in the top left corner, users will see a list of targeted assets. Total assets represent the exposed assets discovered in the domain discovery scan within your organization. In this case, we see that 255 assets were discoverable. Next to this is the total number of discovered vulnerabilities associated with the target assets for which the pen test or automated pen test have been executed. We can see here that 44 vulnerabilities were discovered. Adjacent to vulnerabilities is overall risk. This represents the distribution of vulnerabilities classified by risk that BreachLock experts have identified. In this case, of the 44 vulnerabilities, most were classified as low, medium, or informational. For context, critical means a vulnerability representing the most severe level of threat leading to likely exploitation. High are vulnerabilities that are severe, but typically there is less devastation, but exploitation that could significantly compromise systems. Medium are vulnerabilities that can cause harm, but are less exploitable or have a lower overall impact. And low vulnerabilities are minor security implications and are difficult typically to exploit. And finally, informational or info. These do not indicate a vulnerability, but might provide details about system behavior or configuration to improve security awareness. BreachLock supports both CVSS 3 and 4 to evaluate risk severity. Below this is an at-a-glance visual of all risks by severity for a quick snapshot. To the far top right is credential breach. This overview represents the count of exposed users and passwords that were found on the dark web resulting from data breach scans. These exposures can be used by a threat actor to perform unauthorized activities against the organization. In this case, no credential breaches were discovered. Below this are the actual vulnerabilities discovered, type of vulnerability or name, assets impacted, and the respective risk score. To dig deeper, users can click on the vulnerability to view details and further context. Here you will see the actual vulnerability name, the risk severity, assets impacted, the CVSS score, and CVSS vector. So we are not just providing a line item, rather it is part of a rolled up view for better consumption of how many assets are affected with those specific vulnerabilities. Below is a detailed description of the vulnerability and an expert recommendation for remediation. Below this is the number of assets impacted. Each asset is labeled whether it is identified for the first time, labeled as new discovered, or it can be labeled as rediscovered, as it is here. So for example, if the vulnerability is discovered for the first time, our experts will let the client know it is a newly discovered vulnerability and should pop up on their radar as newly identified. A newly discovered vulnerability can be discovered multiple times because every time it represents another asset. Rediscovered conveys that the vulnerability has not been mitigated properly yet or not mitigated and remains within discovery. The user will also have the ability to mark the vulnerability as a false positive by each asset impacted. Simply click on the asset you wish to classify as false positive, click on the false positive box, and it will move this asset to your asset discovery under vulnerabilities where it will be labeled false positive. Please note that this is very rare as BreachLock guarantees a 99% false positive rate, and we will review this shortly. In this case, we will not move it, we will not mark it as false positive, and move on with the demo. So in addition and most importantly, details will include evidence of the vulnerability. Just click on the drop-down menu here, and what you will see is the vulnerability itself, IP address in this case, when the finding was discovered, its description, and what we call a proof of concept. So we wouldn't mark this as false positive because we have a proof of concept here that the vulnerability exists, where it was found, and is evidence that the vulnerability is not a false positive, but actually a risk to the organization. The POCs correlate with remediation recommendations based on what will happen if no action is taken and the vulnerability is not remediated. The user can simply close out of the screen to go back to the rolled-up view of the user's security testing scope and dashboard. By consolidating assets, vulnerabilities, and test findings in one integrated platform, organizations eliminate the inefficiencies of switching between multiple tools and systems, centralizing automated workflows across all solutions, and accelerating the remediation and reporting process. With findings all in one place, the BreachLock integrated platform unifies analytics and shares insights across DevSecOps teams, enabling faster decision-making based on real threats and their potential impact. With high-fidelity data, users can better understand vulnerable assets and why they may be business critical. This concludes the dashboard overview of the BreachLock integrated platform. Watch our other demos for other EASM and PTaaS features integrated into one seamless, cohesive platform. Thank you.